Hi, everyone. Welcome to Crossing the Threshold with leadership coaches James Wilson Jr. and JC Fowler, a podcast for mission-driven leaders navigating what's next in life and leadership without losing what matters most.
At some point, every leader experiences this. They're overwhelmed, they're scattered, they're stuck in a season where what used to work doesn't work anymore. And every person entrusted with some responsibility and with the desire and to grow and impact others, we all experience this. This is not strange, but this is a moment. And that moment is what we call a threshold. Mm-hmm. And so if you're at that threshold moment right now between what was and what's next, or if it's just a moment you recognize you'll probably face in the future, this podcast is for you. Because we're not just here to talk about leadership, but we're here to talk about how do you take the next step and cross the threshold. And that's where we're going today, right? We want to introduce ourselves so y'all know who we are, but also help you guys with the framework that we feel like has changed how we think about leadership and how we think about life.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Episode 0. How did we get here, man? I love it. I'll tell you what, it did not start with crossing the threshold, coaching and consulting.
Nope.
It started with a pattern that we both recognized in leaders, in places they were stuck, in these barriers to growth, a pattern that we first recognized in ourselves. Yeah. But before we get there, we got to rewind.
Yeah, man. Let's tell the story.
So it is, we could timestamp this even. It is 2026. We are recording this January 22nd,
Jeez.
Which means that it was about 11 and a half years ago.
Wow, dude.
When you helped me cross the threshold,
wow.
And you asked me to be a leader on your team when you were leading at a youth center right here locally in New Jersey, man.
Jeez, man. Wow.
Don't start crying.
Dude, I'm like,
Don't start crying now.
You might have caught me in a different moment. That's wow.
No,
okay.
It's crazy, right?
Wow.
So we met over 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. I was on your team leading. And then we had you moved to Virginia. Mm-hmm. And took a different role.
Yeah.
And maybe people saw this clip, but that's when you had said to me about taking on the position that you were having. Hey, man, it's my dying wish that you take this job. And I had never been so mad. And I remember thinking, absolutely not.
Yeah.
There's no way. That's not what I want to do. I'm not cut out for that. Who am I to lead that? We'll get to that in a second. And the answer was no. Definitely not. Mm-hmm. We had that conversation in June of 2017.
Yeah.
And in July of 2017, I stepped into that role. Yeah. Be careful who you hang out with. I mean, seriously, it's crazy.
It's good, man. It's good.
Crazy. So then, all right. So then you were down in Virginia leading. We stayed connected. And then you ended up moving back here. Pursuing this and a whole bunch of different ventures, which I'll let you kind of explain. But before we get into our personal stories, I think it's crazy how this came together. So we both stepped into this coaching and consulting space.
Yep.
Oh, we like this. This is cool. And said, you know what? Let's meet every other week so we could just talk the crazy out of our heads.
Sharpening each other. Yeah.
Say, hey man, like how are you thinking about this?
Yeah.
This is new. We both come from nonprofit backgrounds, but had this desire to help all different types of organizations. And then we started filming it. It's like, this is good content.
Yeah. It's like, this is too good. Yeah.
And then I think you were like, we should just make this a podcast because you had experience with podcasts. Yep. And then it was about a month into that when we were filming episodes, we were like, I think we should go into business.
Yeah, better together, right?
And it was so clear, man.
Yeah.
Dude, this is exactly, that's crazy. It's crazy how all that became this.
Yeah.
But we can get into that more, but
no, that's good, man.
Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about your background, how you think about leadership, how you got here. And feel free to get personal, bro.
Yeah, man. So I'm thinking about where you said 11 and a half years ago, I'm thinking about that journey for me started a little bit before of always wanting to help people, right? To go back to the story of my parents were separated at 16, 17, my dad went to prison. 18, my parents got divorced. And it was during that time where I felt some of the most challenging aspects of my life. I also, at that time, there was someone at a youth center who actually mentored me. His name was Curtis. And man, it was such impact on my life. And I started to decide that there's something different that I want to do with my life. There's something different. And so that led me in a direction where over the years, I found myself in nonprofit spaces, working with at-risk students, working with folks who were trying to figure out life, particularly young folks, because they were so impressionable, right? And that's when I felt like I've got the most help. So the reason I share that is because it was through that interaction that kind of led me on this journey of staying in the nonprofit world. And I remember one time giving this presentation at a youth group, and there was this guy there, and I thought I was this rock star of a speaker. Like, man, I know how to work the stage. I know how to do this. I saw this guy walk in, 50-year-old man, salt and pepper hair, and he gets in, and the kids are loving him more than they love me. And I'm like, my little insecurity is showing up. Like, I thought I was really good.
Right.
What I found out was this guy's name is Tom. Tom was their youth pastor. I said, huh. And Tom just wasn't just a youth pastor, but he was really clear on how to lead the teams and how to lead this. He took us out to dinner afterwards. And I was like, man, I want to do that.
Right.
Like, whatever that is, I want to do more of that. So that started happening. And my wife was like, hey, let's try this out. Let's explore where this is going to go.
Right.
I applied to a church in Allentown, New Jersey.
Yeah.
And from there, I was just mentored and trained by phenomenal leaders. I think about Karen Collins, amazing leader, Jenna Brown, Pastor Stephen, and all of these folks. And then you and I met. And I had this sense, and I'm telling the back story because there was a sense of there's something different about this guy. There was, you had a tough upbringing, and that's always been my specialty. Like, let's work with the folks that are at risk.
Right. I know.
But what I saw in you was a desire for something more. And I wasn't impressed by your story as much as I was impressed by your destiny. And I could see like, yo, this dude's got something. So my dying wish was this sense of you have something more to offer this community than I could. So I felt like that was why that came about. So fast forward, man, I went and I worked at this church in Virginia after leaving Allentown because I'm just kind of like, I'm almost wired that way. Let's go. Let's see what's next. And during that time, man, I had this great run at a church, really awesome church in Virginia.
Right.
And
pretty large.
Yeah, pretty significant organization. And they were doing some great things. I was exposed to a lot of different things, leading in young adult ministry, leading teams, building up leaders, which was a passion of mine always. And then I was launching a church campus, which was pretty significant. So I've been leading these large campuses, launching one.
You had started a school at that point?
Started a school of ministry. So I did that. So I'm working in the coaching and consulting thing in one aspect. And while I'm doing ministry, I'm still out speaking. I'm still working with leaders, and I'm still doing this. And I'm working with an organization in Virginia that I still work with. But there was something that happened to me that was like, man, I need to make a shift. And what I experienced was this, I had this panic attack on the Chesapeake Bay Bridge. And I've shared that story so many times. Today marks a year, over a year since that happened. That panic attack woke me up. Right. And that's kind of a word for leaders that's really difficult to really wake up. You're already established. You're already doing your thing. Right. But there were these thresholds that I was like, I'm missing something. Right. And so anyways, it was a long story short, man, that moment led to another series of moments that I realized that I was burned out. And the pace in which I was working in, I couldn't sustain it. Right. On top of that, I also felt this desire to help leaders in a different way. And so the combination of those two things and what my family needed was, hey, we probably need to move back to New Jersey, or at least Philadelphia, Jason. That's where our family is. And so in that process, man, I remember hitting you up, and because we stayed in touch, and you've been really good at that. And I was like, bro, this is a new season for me. I'm just needy. I remember, like, I just need it. And so he's like, hey, let's come on, come over. And we put it on the calendar. Let's meet every 2 weeks. And so I'm out and I'm doing coaching and consulting with leaders. And what I had to offer was good. But I think what the change for me was when we sat together, what I thought was good started turning into great. Like,
Right.
oh, what about this? What about that?
Yeah.
What about this? And how about we add this system and add this structure? And I'm just like, why didn't I think of this?
Right.
Right.
No.
And so then we start exposing each other to our different gifts
Yeah.
and strengths. And yeah, one thing led to another, man. It's like, we were talking about it earlier, a match made in heaven, like not to get mushy, but it's like, bro, we got some strengths that are really good. So
That's so good.
yeah, man.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, the Chesapeake Bay Bridge is like 7 miles and miles of water.
Yeah, bro.
Water
It's a 20-minute drive and about 17 miles of bridge.
It's just water.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But I've appreciated how transparent you've been with that story. It's helped me. I know it's given a lot of people permission to say, wow, James is leading at this high level. And that was actually like a catalytic moment, a threshold, if you will, that brought you here. When you gave me that call and you were like, I'm moving to Allentown, I was like, what?
I remember.
Dude, I was so pumped because when I had come to visit you in Virginia just to learn about what you were doing, I remember like, oh, we could do this together, we could do that.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking like, you're in Virginia, man.
Yeah,
like,
how we gonna make it work?
I mean, it sounds great, but how are we gonna? And I was like,
proximity. Yeah.
wait a second. So that's awesome, man.
Yeah, bro.
Thinking about, you won't say it, but you have spoken not only nationally all around, but internationally. Obviously have a ton of experience with students, but also experience speaking to leaders and you and your wife Ashley doing marriage seminars and giving keynote talks on that. Yeah. And I feel like we share some of this and gets into some of our work. Is I have some experience speaking with students on different platforms too, not at the degree that you have, but we have found that sort of keynote speaking is only a component of the sort of transformation that we want to see. And so beginning to think through with the experience and some of that graduate level training that you didn't mention that I will.
Man, I know.
To say, I won't name the certs and whatever, but hey, I can gas you up. That's okay. Maybe it is self-serving because you're my partner. I don't know.
Man.
Anyway, that's okay. That's okay.
So we both have master's degree. I've got a master's degree in one lane of organizational leadership. Right. Yours is a lot more thought-provoking and great. But I think both of us sharing, and I've been able to speak internationally and not just coaching. I think that's the limitation often in my own brain. It's like, oh, I've just done this little work here. Right. But the truth is, like, I've coached. I've done executive coaching for some years. With senior leaders. I've spoken at business conferences. My favorite place that I've spoken was Africa. And I've just had a really cool opportunity to do some cool things. Right. And I know, that's one of the things too. As we think about partnership, it wasn't just, hey, let me take this guy along. Neither of us were like, hey, let me just take this guy along. No. We both brought some significance. So you actually now actually working with $1 million companies, like you actually spending time doing executive coaching with them, leading high-powered teams, improving, organization. I would say maybe 200%. Like I remember where the youth center started and where you grew it into, and what you've been able to do in the midst of that, man. So
and it's amazing. All that experience, all that is to say that we have had the privilege of being in a bunch of different places, doing some different things, sometimes in spite of ourselves, but coming along with a willing spirit and just always wanting to grow and learn. And that has given us a look at like, what does it actually take? Like to move from inspiration to action to transform. So I'll just say a little bit on my story. I had not similar upbringing, but definitely some challenges. Growing up, lost a few siblings, 3, not at the same time, all at different times. That kind of shaped me. That took me down a pretty dark path. But I'll say, like, from a leadership standpoint, it's so funny to say because, like, I was captain of the football team. That was the first time I realized, I have this desire in me to motivate people in a particular direction, right? Like I just am built that way. And thinking about the art of how that happens and what does that look like? And when you don't necessarily have formal authority, so then you have relational authority or you can have expert authority. Like how do you actually get people to trust you so you can bring them to a desired location? So that was like the well-meaning, I like this. This is interesting. But I ended up leading people in a whole different direction. Selling drugs, doing, just totally rehab after rehab. And so ended up at 22 years old, And I'm like, man, I don't really know what to do with my life. And I'm given this one idea that changed everything. And that idea is that your life depends on the constant thought of others and how you can grow in maximum understanding and usefulness to the fellows about you. Nothing else was working. I said, okay, I'm going to try that.
Yeah.
And what I realized was that's the only way to have the sort of impact that I wanted to have, which you and I talk about this all the time, is to develop leaders in organizations. So started studying that, ended up taking over for you, getting the lead in like one of the largest per capita youth centers on the East Coast. I mean, crazy that we were able to be a part of that.
For sure.
And then continuing to grow in that. And then when you're part of a church community, you get to meet all sorts of different leaders who are coming in and being like, oh, wow, that's so interesting. You have these same problems and you actually pay those people.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how do I inspire volunteers to lead and lead well and have healthy rhythms and answer those identity questions. I mean, all those big questions. Yeah. And I don't even pay them. And so I thought I would actually go and I thought, wow, it's actually not saying it's easier or different. It's definitely different. But I was like, wow, I can, if we can inspire people who aren't being paid, like what would happen for people that are being paid?
Correct.
And to think about it like this, what I discovered at the church is that just because people are nice or even virtuous, like even people who are out there serving, being generous, whatever it is, doesn't necessarily mean that they can work well together.
Yeah.
Just because an organization has those people doesn't necessarily mean it's a healthy organization.
That's right.
Like, what is going on? Even if we believe in these rhythms of work and rest, doesn't mean that we're implementing them. And so I just became obsessed with, wow, how can well-meaning people not work that well together? Or really and I love our church. I love my church. It's not just that, but seeing other churches in other contexts and then meeting people and saying, oh, these issues, these challenges, these thresholds show up everywhere.
Yep.
So I thought, wow, if I could. I read, I listen to podcasts, I got training. I do this all day long. All the time. I'm like, what if we could do this as part of our vocation, as part of a living? Like, let's do it.
Yeah.
In steps, crossing the threshold, coaching and consulting.
So, I mean, that's what it is, man. I think you're right. It was the consistent thought of, man, we had it on the thing, but it's like, people are overwhelmed.
Right.
People are stretched. And I love that phrase, well-meaning people, for some reason, can't do it well, though.
Right. What is going on?
Yeah. So this is good, man. And I think you're right. This threshold, I almost wanted to lean into, because one of the things that's been key with our relationship is that because we've read so many things and we've led in different spaces. I think together we've got 25 years, 30 years of leadership experience. And what we realize, though, is that leaders don't need another part of advice. Like what we're realizing is that leaders need a map. Like that's what kind of this started with, was us saying, like, how do we not just give more content to these leaders? And we would sit and we've been drawing and we've got videos, but we were like, how do we not make like it just so complicated and it can't, like, I can't afford another conference or I can't do this. How do we actually help these leaders move? I remember us having a conversation, we were talking about it, and I sat down with someone and I was puzzled, like, how do you help leaders move from inspiration to action?
Right.
And he started saying, like, well, it's not that they don't know what to do or how to do it, but it's something that it's in between. And for us, it was that it's a threshold.
Right.
Yeah, man.
No, that's so good. Yeah, I'm putting our finger on that. Like, what is the thing we actually want to, like, help people move across or move toward? And not to say that, a threshold is a one and done deal, right? You always move deeper and go further and grow. So I love that. But this idea that there are these threshold moments, this space between what was and what's next. And there's a combination here, right? Yeah, you need good information. You need some inspiration. You need the right system. But to think through, okay, are there different places that become bottlenecks of leadership? Or the language we've been using is, what are some of our largest leadership constraints? What's the thing in this season for this assignment, whatever's entrusted to our care, your care, whether you're working in a nonprofit, whether you're heading up a department, you're a team lead, maybe you're the CEO or the executive director. Amazing. where in your leadership is the constraint?
Yeah.
And so we ended up coming up. You kind of discovered this thing. I got to refine it in the midst of this conversation. Just for our listeners.
Yeah.
We'll talk about some of these frameworks, but when it comes to new ideas and inventing things, that's a frustration of mine. I think my man here
I love it,
literally
man.
wakes up in the
the
middle
world
of the
I live
night
in.
and rolls over and tells his wife, I got 3 new ideas.
Which gets her frustrated too.
Yeah, it's so real.
Yeah.
But that's part of it. Like, I love to refine
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
You're such
Yeah,
a
you're
novel
great at
thinker.
that.
I mean, it's so good. So this framework, let's get into this framework
Yeah,
a
let's
little
do it,
bit
man.
before we actually before we name these 6 thresholds that we've come up with. Let's talk about it in maybe a bigger way.
Yeah, some high level. It's good.
So yeah, why don't you start us on that?
Yeah, I think it's good, man. It's understanding we keep saying thresholds, but almost to define it is understanding that threshold moments we call they're normal, right? I
Yes.
think some leaders are like, what's wrong? Are we failing? No. Like threshold moments are spaces that are in between. It's what was working before is not going to work in the season to come or wherever you're going next, and it's a transition spot, right? I would call it. My wife and I were just talking about it. It's a transition zone, which is if a trapeze artist is leading from one bar to the catcher, and in that space in between is a transition zone.
That's really good.
And so that's really what a threshold moment is. And we started thinking about, okay, what does that really look like? And we had a couple of examples here, just for people to know.
That's so good. No, I love that. Yeah. So we came up with these 6 thresholds, but let's say you are a founder.
Yep.
And the company is growing. You're wanting to scale, but everything lives in your head. There's a threshold to cross.
Yeah.
We need to be able to create systems, create operating procedures, but also raise up leaders.
Yep.
We want this thing to go further, faster.
Absolutely.
Or let's say you are a CEO, executive director, and you are part of this executive team. And what you're realizing is that the threshold for the organization is we're operating like a golf team.
Yeah.
We all go out and get our own scores.
Yeah.
But really, we need to be a basketball team.
Yeah.
We need to work together.
Yeah.
Because that's going to create culture. And if these different departments, these different divisions are actually going to work together towards a common objective,
Yeah.
threshold we need to cross.
Absolutely.
So that's 2. What about
That's good, man. And as you dig in, right, you dig into some of the heart stuff and whatever's going on internally, there's often this leadership identity issue, right, that we're talking about it, but I'm self-doubting. Like, I don't really believe I can actually do this. And what that does is that you don't believe you can do it. And what you're also not being aware of are the people who can actually help you do it or the strengths you bring. So that leads to a bunch of things, which also leads to leaders often I navigated it myself, is a capacity issue, right? I really don't know if I can sustain this pace, but because this is all I've known and this is how I've gotten the results I've gotten this far, I'm going to keep that pace. And I keep that pace until it gets me to a point of burnout or boredom. And one of the two is just like, I'm checking out, right? Either way, I have to check out because I'm bored or I'm burned out.
Yeah. No, that's really good. Yeah. There's these moments that require change. And I've been thinking about this so much lately. It's like, oh, people don't like change. But everyone wants growth.
Yeah.
But growth requires change.
Yeah.
Right. And so if we're going to change, we need to identify the constraint.
We have to.
So that's, again, anher way to think about these thresholds is you could think about a threshold as a constraint.
Right.
What is the thing limiting your leadership right now?
Yeah.
And the key here is not everything.
I love it.
But one thing.
Yeah.
We all know what it feels like to feel scattered.
Yeah.
Like our mind is, I still am so guilty. I have way too many tabs open on my laptop. We were just working together before. I'm like flipping up. I'm like, I don't know where to go. Not everything, just one thing.
Man, and it's dangerous. Like your phone now, dude, this is a confession. Y'all stay tuned. On my phone, I had 500 tabs open in the phone. And I get frustrated because I'm like, why is this thing moving so slow? How come I can't get to where I'm trying to go?
Dude, that's so
it's
real.
There's
so
a constraint that I'm trying to
Right.
do something, and the real fix is not trying to fix everything. Right? To your point, but it's what's that one thing that'll move things forward.
Yeah, what's the next step?
Yeah.
The goal is traction, right?
Traction.
And we believe that if we can name it, then we can move it. We have to be aware of it. Not that's the whole story. That's at least part of the picture. Thinking about your phone, the operating system. And so we want to do the best that we can.
Absolutely.
every episode to give a clear next step.
Yeah.
Like to say, hey, here's the next step. So
Yep.
hold us to that. If you feel like you listen to an episode and you're like, I didn't have a clear next step and I left more confused, please, we love feedback. We want to grow too.
Give us some feedback.
Our desire is to help you cross the threshold.
Absolutely.
We know that takes a step at a time.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's do this. Let's jump in real quick. This is no master class. Just a map that we kind of discovered. Let's walk through these thresholds. So tell us, what's the first threshold?
Yeah, in terms of naming it, I want to name it with giving you the threshold, and then also what's that pressing question behind it? Because I think that's going to help us identify it. So the first one would be identity, and the question would be, who am I to lead this? Identity, right? Who am I to lead this?
Right. Yeah. It starts with the leader. I love that. And then that brings us to capability. And the core question for this is, what do I bring to the table? What are my strengths? What are my gifts? And embedded in there, what do I bring to the table is also, what do I not bring to the table? That's good. Something we got to know. That's
good. It's good. So then we jump into clarity, right? That pressing question is, what matters most right now? Not tomorrow, not yesterday, not all the things on my table or my plate. It's what matters most right now.
Yeah. If everything matters,
nothing matters.
Nothing matters. Right. Then that brings us to capacity. And the question here is, how can I sustain this well? You've gave me this little thing like, we want to win at work and we want to win at life. Okay, leadership is about the long term. Sure, there are sprints, but really in the end, it's a marathon.
Yep. And then we lean into teamwork. This one is good because the question is, who do I need with me? Who do I need with me? You need more than yourself to get to where you're trying to go. So the question is, who though do I need with me?
That's great. And then we land the plane. Threshold number 6 is execution. How do I get this done? How do I get this done? Okay, great. We got these ideas. Now I understand. I know my identity. I know all these things. Here's my team. What are the systems that need to be put in place? What are the actions that I actually need to take? And then I love just to like punctuate it. Will I act now? So how do I get this done? That's the question.
I love it, man. I love it. We spend a lot of time, y'all, in the lab, we're calling it, right? Spend a lot of time in the lab over almost 30 years of leadership experience. And one of the things we were trying to do is, how do we keep this as simple as possible and accessible for people? So if you heard the questions, you heard the these thresholds, you're like, I want more. I don't know what even to I don't know where to begin. We created this clear next step for you. And I'm hoping they're getting that, right? The clear next step is that we created this threshold starter guide. It's a threshold starter guide where we list these 6 thresholds, but we also do a deeper dive, and we're creating more resources because our hope is every day we get together, we're saying, how do we add the most value to the most people? Really, if we could, how do we give it all away? Because I really think that leaders don't need more content. They just need a map. We just need a way of doing it.
Right. Yeah. So this threshold starter guide, you can visit the website, cttleadership.com, or you can just click the link in the description. And the idea is just to get this framework in front of you. And we think that when you do, and when you see these 6 thresholds, that something will click. And the hope isn't that, again, you would say, oh my gosh, I need to improve in all these areas. That you would say, okay, which threshold is my biggest leadership constraint right now?
That's it.
And then in that guide, you're going to find just some clear next steps, things that you could literally do this week that we think will move the needle on your leadership. And of course, we would love to talk with you about that. You can apply for a discovery call so we can keep talking. But really, we want to get this in your hands just because we don't want this framework to live in our heads.
That's right.
And we think it's going to make a huge difference. I know it has organized and changed the way I think about life and leadership.
Me too.
Where I'm like, oh,
that's that.
Oh, that's a clarity threshold. Like, oh, interesting. We can do something about that rather than just feeling like, man, this is stuck. I feel good. Not that we're living these perfectly, absolutely not. But that's we definitely think that they've been really awesome.
It's good, man. So this week, as we one of the things you'll notice on the podcast is we want to give a threshold challenge, like this clear next step. And this week, what I want to challenge you to do is stop trying to fix everything. Stop trying to fix all of it. Instead, let's drill down a little bit to something concrete. What I want you to do this week is download the guide. Download the starter guide. And then I want you to name the most constraining thing right now in your leadership and take one step forward. Not 10 steps, not a million, not everything, but just one step. So download the guide and then decide what's my constraining thing, what's constraining me,
Right.
and take one step forward.
Yeah. You don't have to guess. You don't have to grope around in the dark. And you definitely don't have to do it alone.
There it is.
Here we are, man.
Here we are.
That's good.
Here we are.
Hey, we're looking for this. Is going to be a journey. I'm looking
It's gonna be
forward
good, man. It's gonna be good. Thanks for watching Crossing the Threshold with James Wilson Jr. and JC Fowler. If this helped you take a step forward, like, subscribe, and share it with another mission-driven leader navigating their own threshold moment. Until next time, keep moving forward with courage